You love the look of the whimsical collected English gallery wall, even though it looks like a challenge. But what if there is a way to make it easy? Welcome to the Stone Cottage home. I'm Rachel, and I share this cottage with my husband Matt. Today, I would like to share with you an English gallery wall that I collected quite by accident, and how this might happen to you too.
If you've been around on this channel anytime at all, you will know that I have a love for art. You might say a weakness for art. I've pared down my stash by 2/3, and this particular day, as I was going through, I noticed that I had quite a lot of art with buildings and architecture. As I looked through, I realized there were enough pieces to create quite a substantial gallery wall. This was very exciting. I flipped through my entire stash and even went through the house and scoured the walls. There were so many pieces, and many of them had wonderful stories, like this, a watercolor of Anne Hathaway's Cottage that I bought off Etsy. I had the frame in my stash. I just had to add the green linen mat from Hobby Lobby. This octagonal pair of lithographs has a special memory to it. Matt and I took a trip and met up with some old friends, and we went to an antique store that was one of her favorites. I spotted these there. They were $12 each and absolutely gorgeous. I haven't changed a thing for this pair, and they will always remind us of that special day with our friends. Here is another lovely print of a cottage. This one is Beatrix Potter's cottage, and while I love the print, I think I can find something better for framing and matting in my stash. My idea was to reuse the whiteboard that the picture came with since it was acid-free, then to use this misty green-gray mat, and finally this gold frame with a little bit of detailing on the edge. The first step is to attach the mat to the backing board, and for this I use double-sided tape. Once I had a piece on each of the 4 sides, then it was time to center the mat over the board and press it into place. The next step is a simple repeat. We will take the print, put some double-sided tape on all 4 sides of the back, carefully center it, and press it into place. Perhaps all of my methods for reframing are not exactly professional, but they are perfectly imperfect, they work for me, and they save so much money. Isn't this picture just lovely? Now this mat and backer board are just a little bit bigger than the frame I have, so my top tip for you is to use the glass as a template so that your piece will come out the perfect size. As you can see here, I've centered the glass over the picture and I'm tracing around all 4 sides. Then I will get my ruler and trim it down. The green mat with the lines that you see me using here is actually for quilting, as is the ruler and the rotary cutter. This is not exactly what the tools are meant for, but they work really well. It does dull the blade very quickly, so after reframing I will need to swap out my blade. Ah, that base just looks perfect! Let's put everything together. The frame, then a piece of frosted glass, then the picture with the mat, the backing, and an extra board to bring it up to the height of the back of the frame. Once all the pieces are in place, I secure the backing with tape. This method is working for now, but I would eventually like to invest in one of those guns that will shoot little staples or what look like shark's teeth into the frame, which secures the backing to the frame. I'm not quite sure what those are called, but that's what I would like to get next, because I'm sure I will be reframing more art. Here's that lovely print of Beatrix Potter's house reframed. I think this gives it a lighter feel, and the wider double matting gives it a little bit more presence. For those of you who watched our English Country kitchen remodel, you will remember this piece of art. I picked it up at an antique store and it was a splurge. I wouldn't change a thing about it except the glass. Sometimes when you're dismantling old pieces of art, you come across the most wonderful pieces of history. This looks to be either a page out of a book or a poster hand engraved by D. Pound years and years ago. This image depicts Walmer Castle, the campaigns and battlefields of Wellington and his comrades, the political life of the Duke and his contemporaries, and a detailed account of England's battles by sea and land. So fascinating! Then behind the picture I found this, Walmer Castle, Kent, an original engraving by D. Pound, published circa 1839. So cool! Now just imagine if I had not dismantled this piece of art to swap out the glass. We never would have discovered the history of this beautiful lithograph. I had a piece of frosted non-glare glass specially cut to fit this frame. Now the art can be enjoyed from so many more angles, whether the lights are on it or not. Here is the piece reassembled. It looks exactly the same until you look at how the light reflects off of it. That is incredibly better and so beautiful. You will notice as we look at different pieces in this collection that lithographs happen to be one of my very favorite things to collect. This lithograph is of a harbor scene in Amsterdam, and either W.H. Bartlett or A.H. Payne hand-colored this engraving. I thrifted the print. I need to find a frame. Same case for this one. Absolutely love it, and especially the mat with those lines. This is Harewood, Yorkshire, and in those tiny little letters you can see who engraved it. I love the deer, the grand manor house. It's so beautiful. Let's see what we can find in the stash. Here are those same two pieces with frames from the stash. One of them is antique and frosted glass. What a huge difference this makes. You will find that as you begin curating items for your home, there will be distinguishable patterns in the things that you buy through color, shape, and size. This is when it gets exciting. You may find, like I did, that you have a collection growing right under your nose and you didn't even plan it. Here are a few more before and after shots of frames and prints that I picked up mainly at thrift stores for pennies on the dollar. I then brought them home and swapped out the mats and the frames and the glass if I had it on hand. Okay, now that we have all of our pictures gathered, rematted, reframed, or reglassed, it is time to measure the wall in question so that we can begin our layout. Matt measures the height and the width of our wall. Then, in a large space on the floor, we tape out the measurements that he has taken using painter's tape. It is good to leave at least a 2 to 3 inch margin from the edge of the tape when you're placing your art so that when you go to hang your collection, it will actually fit. Now it's time to play. I absolutely love this stage and could do this for days on end. So a rule of thumb that I have found to help me make a decision, at least for the kind of art I collect, is to begin with the largest piece in the center or somewhere centrally located. The further from the center you are, the smaller the pieces of art. The partial piece of tape is a boundary for how low this collection can be hung. If you have or admire collections like this where all the frames are so different, all the pictures are different sizes and different mediums, a great way to create unity and cohesion is through symmetry. These pieces are matched up as well as they can possibly be. They are perfectly imperfect. Throughout the collecting stage, I have replaced glass unless it is beautiful ripple glass like this one. You can see there are still a few pieces that need to have frosted glass put in, and that will come with time. I love how there is so much variety, and yet the whole thing seems to go together so well. Here is the final layout, and the collection is hung. I can't tell you how much fun it is to walk by this every day. It makes me wonder if I might have another gallery wall growing that I don't know anything about. I would love to know, friend, do you have collections that are growing under your nose? It may not be art. It could be dishes, lamps, fabric, who knows? If you discover an unknown collection, I would love to hear about it in the comments below.
If today's visit resonated with you, subscribe by tapping that little button right down there. And I'll see you next time. Take care.